Globalization has been occurring for quite some time. Add in the internet and media, and you get an increasing amount of media globalization or media interconnectedness. It has been developing for quite some time and has created what is known as glocalization. Glocalization is defined as a combination of the words globalization and localization used to describe a product or service that is developed and distributed globally, but is also fashioned to accommodate the user or consumer in a local market. This means that the product or service may be tailored to conform with local laws, customs, or consumer preferences. Products or services that are effectively localized are, by definition, going to be of much greater interest to the end user. When discussing glocalization, it's important to note the history of globalization. Globalization has been occurring for centuries. The start of globalization was when the Europeans landed in the Americas and people started to migrate from country to country. Add in technology and globalization has increased. It now takes 2 seconds to reach someone across the world. Glocalization is clearly starting to follow in the path of globalization. The next major part of glocalization are the advantages that come with it. The advantages of glocalization are extremely similar to those of globalization. The advantages include promoting global economic growth, creating jobs, making companies more competitive, resulting in lower prices for consumers. It helps to raise the global economy, cultural intermingling. Each country is learning more about other cultures, so socially we become more open and tolerant toward each other, and people who live in other parts of the world are less considered aliens. These advantages of glocalization are part of the reason that glocalization has been taking off. Clearly, there are many advantages that go hand in hand with glocalization, but especially the monetary advantages. They are part of the reason glocalization will continue to grow the same way that globalization has been growing. These financial possibilities appeal to the major media conglomerates. The monetary appeal for media conglomerates stems from media globalization. Media globalization has made it very easy for companies to expand their media formats into other countries and therefore utilize the idea of glocalization. There are many television shows including Big Brother, The Voice, American Idol, Dancing with the Stars, Top Gear, and many others that are shown in multiple countries throughout the world. Media conglomerates understand the potential and the money that can be made by expanding television shows into other countries. There are 6 major media corporations who are controlling about 90% of the media in America. These companies are General Electric, who owns Comcast, NBC, Universal Pictures, and Focus Features; News Corporation, who owns Fox, Wall Street Journal, and the New York Post; Disney, who owns ABC, ESPN, Pixar, Miramax, and Marvel Studios; Viacom, who owns MTV, Nick Jr., BET, CMT, and VH1; Time Warner, who owns CNN, HBO, Time, and Warner Brothers; and finally CBS, who owns Showtime, Smithsonian Channel, NFL.com, Jeopardy, and 60 Minutes. This again demonstrates how these massive media conglomerates are able to control the amount of media throughout the world. The television shows that run through these media conglomerates are glocalized to other countries. These major companies tweak each show to appeal to different cultures and countries. There are also many disadvantages of glocalization. The major downsides of glocalization include it makes the rich richer while making the non-rich poorer. It is wonderful for managers and investors. These major companies are accused of social injustice, unfair working conditions, lack of concern for the environment, mismanagement of natural resources, and ecological damage. There is also a fear of losing culture because of the flows from west to east. Many Eastern cultures are afraid that their culture will be lost due to the media infiltration from the West. However, it becomes extremely clear that when comparing the pros to the cons, it makes sense that the advantages of glocalization outweigh the disadvantages of globalization, mostly because of the monetary possibilities. The next part of glocalization relies on media flows. Flows are what contribute to glocalization. The dominant flows flow from west to east. The Western flows are so dominant that American television programs are broadcasted in over 125 countries. Counterflows, from east to west, are also becoming more dominant. Al Jazeera is a major example of this. They are a powerful counterflow because they are a privately owned company. Nollywood, a Nigerian film industry, is also becoming a major counterflow. The East is starting to glocalize to the West. Big Brother is another major example of this. Big Brother first went live in 1999 on the Dutch television channel Veronica. Big Brother had immense success to the point where its success prompted TV networks worldwide to adopt the format and air locally adapted programs in their primetime schedules. Not only that, but a majority of foreign television formats are also starting to make their way to the United States, which is becoming a major counterflow. In fact, since the year 2000 in the United States, the largest television market in the world, foreign-generated TV formats such as Big Brother, Survivor, and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire have successfully made inroads into national television broadcasters' schedules, attracting large audiences. Again, this is demonstrating not only the idea that globalization truly is successful for those conglomerates, but it also shows how the counterflow has not disappeared. There are many successful formats coming from the East and traveling to the West. After looking at all of these aspects of glocalization and globalization, it only makes sense that glocalization is completely unavoidable and inevitable. It will only continue to grow because of the similarities it has with globalization, how the pros outweigh the cons, and the major financial possibilities that are involved. Glocalization will only continue to grow. That's all I have for you. I'll leave you with Gangnam Style, another example of a counterflow that localized to America.
낮에는 따사로운 인간적인 여자 커피 한 잔에 여유를 아는 품격